Hello, everyone, and welcome to our next session today, titled The Color of Money, Banks and Corporations' Role in Investing. I am Travis Rouse, and I am a Senior Vice President, Chief Sales and Lending Officer for M&F Bank, and I'm happy to be presenting to you today and happy to be a part of this program. First, I'm going to give you a little history about our company and kind of our existence here in North Carolina, but also just kind of share some exciting things that are happening within our company in 2022. First of all, excuse me, our company was founded at the turn of the century of the turn of the 20th century. And at that time, African Americans had few opportunities to finance homes, to few options of getting loans for businesses, and few places to safely deposit their money. And this gave rise to a company like Mechanics and Farmers Bank, where 9 pioneering and very courageous businessmen representing several trades across the spectrum, to include brick builders, brick masons, doctors, barbers. There were 9 businessmen who had the idea of creating a safe place for Blacks to deposit their money and find loans to help fund and empower the dreams that these people that individuals had back then. So in 1907, Mechanics and Farmers Bank was chartered, and we opened our doors for business in 1908, and we're happy to say that we've never closed those doors, even through the Great Depression. And specifically in the Winston-Salem market, our bank was opened in 1981. Now, for well over 100 years, this year 115 years, the bank is still stable. The bank is still independent, and we're firmly committed to supporting the dreams of everyone in our community. And I specifically say dreams because, as I mentioned earlier, we are about, and that's part of our mission, empowering the dreams of our customers and prospects in the markets that we serve. And the proof can be seen all around you in the businesses, the churches, the universities that have operated for decades, due in part to our unwavering support, as well as the entrepreneurs who we've helped set up shop. And in some cases, that young couple who's settled into their first home. We are very eager about getting into 2022 and really working very hard to kind of to empower dreams of our customer base. We're happy about our progress, and we're happy about the partnerships that we've created in the markets that we serve. And to all of those who are customers, I appreciate. I want to take the opportunity and say thank you for being customers of our bank. And if you're not a customer of the bank, please go see our Winston-Salem office. Karen Polite, Rochelle McBroom, Corey McCann, Laquita McIntyre, Evelyn Akery, all great teammates and all ready to take great care of you as a customer. A little bit more about our bank. We operate in 5 markets in North Carolina. We obviously have a branch in Winston-Salem. We also have one in Greensboro. We have a branch in Charlotte. We're headquartered in Durham. So we have 2 branches in Durham, and we have 2 branches in Raleigh. And so we are again very excited about the prospects for business in North Carolina, and look forward to to moving forward in 2022. Now, one of the things that I want to switch gears a bit and just kind of talk about one of the things that plagues Black banks. We're talking about the color of money. There are 18 Black banks left. When I got in banking back in 1990, there were 56 Black banks in existence. That number has dwindled down to 18. But I'll tell you one thing, M&F Bank, Mechanics and Farmers Bank is working very hard to make sure we stay in business and we stay that mainstay that can help businesses and individuals empower their dreams. And so to that end, some of you may have heard about an announcement that M&F Bank was receiving capital from the U.S. Treasury, $76 million to be exact, from the U.S. Treasury. That is true. We certainly don't have the money yet, but we have been awarded approximately $76 million to help us do the things that we want to do in the markets that we serve. And certainly the Winston-Salem market and other markets will benefit from that investment of capital. But I want to share with you a little bit about our journey in getting that money, and then also give you a snapshot of where this money may take the bank. I'll rewind to back to June, July, August of 2021. We got word that we were going to have the opportunity to apply for this capital. It was a very long and involved process. I led the project for the bank, but it was a very, very document heavy process. We had to submit a lot of financial information on the bank. We had to submit some initial plans about what if we got this much money, what would we do with it? Now, we applied for more than 76 million, but we were only awarded 76 million. But I'll take it, and we're going to do good things with it. But as I said, we spent a lot of time submitting that application and really kind of thinking through what would this actually mean for our company. So what would it mean for our company if we were to bring in 76 million in new capital? Well, the first thing it would do, it would give us the opportunity to do more lending, which is where that's kind of the essence of a bank. We take in deposits, and we in turn recycle those deposits within the markets that we serve in the form of loans to empower those dreams that our borrowers have, whether it's home ownership, owning businesses. We've spent a lot more time in the commercial space, financing small businesses, and we play very well in that space. So we're excited in terms of what this capital will help us do. But it will first and foremost help us lend more money, but it will also help us grow as a company. I mean, we feel like with bringing in this much in new capital, we'll be able to grow the size of the bank to $500 to $750 million. We're currently roughly $380 million. With this new influx of capital, it will raise our lending ability. It will increase our lending limits within the bank, and it will really allow us to grow the bank in a meaningful way. And so we are very, very excited about that. In the ESIP, in this capital application, one of the things that we had to address is what type of lending. If you got this money, what type of money, what type of lending would you do? And so we see where we fit in that space is lending in a couple of key areas. One is we see the bulk of the funds going to financing, um, minority businesses, Black-owned businesses, and so we see the majority. We see probably 50 to 60% of our lending activity as a result of this program will be around financing small to medium-sized businesses. So we are going to be very intentional about finding ways to lend to Black-owned businesses in the state of North Carolina. That's what we do now. We do that now. We go to sleep thinking about that today, and we wake up in the morning looking for ways to do that. And we will, in earnest, do even more of that in over the next several years. We submitted a 10-year lending plan as a part of this program, and we plan on executing on that plan to lend more money to Black-owned businesses across the markets that we serve. The Winston-Salem market will be a benefactor of those loans. The second place that we think we'll spend some money, we want to do more in the way of affordable housing, financing affordable housing, making affordable housing available. We don't do residential mortgages now, but we know that that's going to be something that we enter back into in 2022. We're going to find affordable housing projects that we can participate in our markets that make sense for our bank from a location and the metrics of the project. We're going to make sure that we find those and in earnest figure out how to get those done, or partner with organizations, whether it be nonprofits, CDFIs, to help get those done. But we want to make sure that that type of deep impact lending is done in all of the markets that we serve. And so we're excited about that. The last place that we will focus is in the area of consumer lending, and I mentioned before, adding residential mortgage to our complement. We used to do them years ago. We stopped there's some regulatory things that just caused us not to choose to keep up with residential mortgage. We're going to enter into that business again in 2022. It'll be the latter part of 2022. But we know that being in that business, you have to do it right. And so we don't want to get back into that business to where we can see we have the capital, we have the funds to make sure that we will be able to get into that business and do it right. So we're happy about that. We're very happy about that. So that kind of gives you a kind of a snapshot of where we'll focus some of that money from a lending perspective. Some of the other things that we'll be able to do, we'll be able to expand our workforce. If we want to do more in the way of affordable housing, we're going to have to hire those resources that we may not have in the bank now. And affordable housing is something we've done a little bit of before, but we want to be in a place to do a whole lot more of that. So we're going to need to bring in some resources from a community development perspective that will help us do that. We want to add. We'll add an SBA. We'll add some SBA resources and really build up our SBA team so that we can do a lot more in the way of putting capital in the hands of business owners. Because one of the important things for our bank is helping reduce the wealth gap, and we feel that there are some key areas where you do that. One, I talked about getting into mortgages. Homeownership is one place. Entrepreneurship, owning businesses and growing that business is another great way of creating wealth and improving wealth, and financing small business owners and helping them grow wealth through business ownership is going to be a very primary way for us to help reduce the wealth gap. So we're very excited about that. And then lastly, we are going to work very hard to partner with CDFIs and nonprofits around the state. We're going to look at areas that we're not doing business in now, and see what areas make sense for us to expand to. Are there CDFIs in other markets that we need to be involved with, engage in doing this important work? So all of those things are on the table for us as we think about what we're going to do on a go forward basis. So, that's with that. I think, I think I've given you some indication as to kind of where the bank is right now, and where we plan on going as a company as we move forward to grow our bank and to deploy those funds from a lending perspective.
Hey, how you doing, Travis?
Good.
All right, so thank you for your great presentation. I just wanted to kind of tap in with you guys to
Okay.
see that we had a couple of questions that
Okay.
popped up
Happy to
over-
entertain questions. Yep.
Right. So for everyone who is was watching, if you have any questions for Travis in regards to M&F Bank and in terms of like their interaction with the community, please drop it either in the chat or in the Q&A section. All right, so I'm just gonna pull up the first one here.
Okay.
All right, from Joy Williams. Well, she said just to add, Truist. Okay, so she said Truist provides themselves on being able to access online accounting, banking easily, deposits, online bill pay. Would M&F Bank be able to compete on that technological banking level with a $76 million investment?
Well, I think much of what I see there, online accounting, banking, deposits online, bill pay, we do all of that now. With outside of everything but the online accounting, I'm not sure what that is, but online banking, using our mobile app, our bill pay, using our remote deposit feature, all of those things are in place now. And to Ms. Williams' question, yes, we will use this investment to enhance and make those things even better and even stronger, so that our customers won't have to think about other places to get those things. We want them to get those things from us.
Great. All right, great. Sorry. So the next one. So we do understand that M&F Bank is the second oldest African American owned bank in the United States.
Yes.
Right. But do you mind just sharing some of kind of like the triumphs and the different barriers that M&F Bank has had to overcome over the years, right? In terms of that puts you guys in this position that really champions the community.
Sure. Well, I think one of the things that has been good for us, we've had great leadership, and you will recall back in 2007, 2008, there was a recession, and the leaders at this bank did a great job of managing through that period of time. There are many banks that failed. M&F was not one of them. We prevailed and we thrived through that period. We cleaned up our balance sheet. We disposed of those assets that we needed to, and we did what we needed to do to take care of our people who helped us through that period of time. And we are absolutely on the other side and the positive side of what was a very difficult time for us. And in that time, our capital went down. That is correct. We had some loans that went bad, and those get charged against your capital. But this capital and other investments that other some of the larger banks have made in our company will help bolster M&F Bank and create the longevity that we're looking for in the future. So what that all has helped us to do is become more profitable. We have increased our lending over the last 5 years. Our loan balances have grown. I joined the bank. The loan balance was around 146 million. It's somewhere in the 230. We're trying to get it to 240. So we've gone up almost $90 million in the 5 years I've been here at the bank. And so we have been, and that's not me. That is a group of employees, like the great folks there in Winston-Salem and the other markets that we serve. All those folks rowing in the same direction, working very hard to put new business on the books and helping business owners like many of you and individuals like many of you empower their dreams to move forward.
Awesome. And there was a follow-up, in terms of, was there anything that you guys, may have seen within the investment space in particular? So is there anything that you may have recognized over, or you've seen during your tenure at M&F Bank?
Investment space. Help me kind of unpack that a little bit. What do you mean?
So, when talking about the general barriers that M&F had to overcome over
Yes.
the course of its history, I guess, is there anything, I guess, to kind of like narrow it down, because I guess we're talking more in general, was there anything more in particular that may have stand out in the investment space? So investing in, in terms of like loans or things of that nature to Black-owned businesses.
Well, yeah, absolutely. I think one of the things that we have done and we will continue to do is just that. We specifically made it a point to focus on our targeted population and find ways to put capital in the hands of those businesses. It's one of the reasons why we in 2017 why we made a concerted effort to be an SBA lender. We were approved to be an SBA lender 30 years ago. We really hadn't done very many loans, and so one of the things I was charged with in when I joined the bank was I had to figure out how to do a whole lot more SBA loans than we had done previously, and we've done that. We have our SBA portfolio is somewhere in the $30 to $40 million range. It is a good, well-performing portfolio, and I would venture a guess of probably 70% of those loans are to Black business owners. And so we are happy that we did that, and we are ready to do even more as we move into the future.
That's awesome. All right, so we do have a few more questions. If
Okay,
still out
great.
there. So the next question is from Misha McDaniel, and Misha, please correct me if I'm enunciating your name incorrectly. But her question is, how does M&F evaluate loan applications from entrepreneurs with businesses that have non-traditional profit models and or not yet profitable?
Well, I will say the startup business is tough for us. It is tough for us because we do prefer the more seasoned business with 2 to 3 to 5 years of experience in operation. I think the thing that we've put in place to kind of help us is we use before we started using SBA in a meaningful way, we used to not go down that road. So we would not look at some of those loan requests. We now can use SBA and other programs to help some newer stage businesses or some businesses with some of the I guess the non-traditional income streams. I think the thing that I need to be very clear about is we want a business to show that they have the cash flow to pay us back. We never want to make a loan to somebody so that we end up taking their collateral. So we want to make sure that the loan is whether it's a non-traditional profit model or a traditional, revenue minus expenses equal net income profit model. We have to be able to show that there is cash flow to repay our debt. And so we will, we will ask a lot of questions. We will dig into what the actual situation is. One of the things that we teach our bankers is we want our bankers to meet borrowers where they are, regardless of their circumstance. Explain to us how you make money. And we want to use your explanation and be able to document that explanation so that we can make the loan for you. But we have to get into that. We have to kind of go deeper than what's on paper.
Understood. All right. So the next question is from Evelyn Brown. She asks, "Does M&F Bank do any commercial mortgages?"
We absolutely do. That has been our primary focus in my tenure with the bank, and before that, we look at ourselves as a commercial banking focused bank, and commercial mortgages are our bread and butter. Absolutely.
All right. All right. Awesome. All right. So this next question was submitted anonymously.
Okay.
All right. And the question is, what are you doing to attract the next upcoming Black generation to the M&F Bank, to M&F Bank versus the normal white lead banks that our community are members of?
We are doing things to specifically market to um, the upcoming Black generation, to millennials and to younger customers. We have a seasoned customer base, and we understand that we want the young Black customer who is looking to grow, with a bank like ours. We have increased our social media presence to engage with that segment in a more meaningful way. We understand that financial education and financial literacy, when we're out speaking to different groups, we hear that question a lot about give us some financial education, give us financial literacy. So we in earnest make it a point to be very intentional about in our branches and with our bankers being very intentional about financial literacy and financial education. In our outreach, we're very intentional about taking the bank to various organizations to speak to speak about the virtues of why it's good to maintain credit, why it's good to have a budget, those kinds of things. And then lastly, we've created new vehicles in an online space on our website. We've created smart money habits to impart more knowledge and skills for the younger generation that may not have had financial education growing up. And in smart money habits, individuals are able to create a curriculum around the things that they want to learn more about. And then the final thing is we've created a partnership with Harvard Business Publishing, which will focus specifically on helping business owners start businesses, give them more education around financing businesses and that kind of thing. And so we heard this segment speak loud and clear. If you want to do business with us, you've got to give us more technology, as Ms. Williams so appropriately asked about earlier. But also, we've heard you've got to give us more information, more relevant financial literacy, more relevant financial education. And we worked very hard to do that in the last 45 years.
Great. That's great. That's great. So Misha McDaniel had a follow-up,
Okay.
right? And basically, she was interested in learning whether if M&F Bank participates in any referral programs. So where if you have any lending institutions that you may direct denied loan applicants, that they may be suitable for maybe some other bank products.
Potentially, we have partnerships with. We've sent loans to Carolina Small Business, which has offices in Raleigh and in Charlotte, but they can lend all over the state. We have partnerships with other organizations that, and our individual bankers have people that they know at various institutions where if we're not able to do it, then absolutely we can direct individuals to other banks, other nonprofits, other CDFIs to get loans done. Absolutely.
Awesome. So I have something that's more like a think piece of sorts, right?
Okay.
If you'd be willing to entertain it, right?
Okay.
And
I'll do my best.
all right. So I'm just gonna read it to you. I'm gonna take some pauses and stuff like that, but just let me know. Okay. So over the last year or so, tech companies have become more aggressive corporate players to dive into reinvigorating the bank black movement, right? And they've deposited millions of dollars in the financial institutions, right, that serve majority black populations, right? But despite this, there has been criticism that some of these deposits drive the deposit money into black-owned banks or community development banks is a great start, but you can't solve 400 years of systematic disparities with just those deposits. And black business leaders are pushing for more equity investments because equity is going to be the biggest bang for our buck, but it's going to make the biggest impact. I understand that equity investments are much riskier and long-term commitment than often, I guess, hesitance from companies' treasury departments to tie up capital for so long. So even experts agree that equity investments could become the next frontier in supporting black financial institutions as long as companies are willing to take the plunge. Do you have any personal or professional thoughts in regards to this, right? And how we can get tech companies to kind of get over that, to do equity investments in black banks like M&F Bank?
Well, that's a very interesting summary there. I can only speak and give you my thoughts around it. And I would say I would urge the tech companies to talk to some of the larger majority institutions out here, because many of those organizations previously had not invested in black banks, like a Bank of America, like a Wells Fargo, like a J.P. Morgan Chase, like a Citi, which those are the four that actually invested in M&F Bank. And so what they had to understand is that we are viable, we are necessary in terms of lending to and providing services to underserved communities, and we have a very, very relevant place in that space, and we are also profitable, and we know how to run banks and businesses, and so these banks had to understand that we know what we're doing, and we're a safe place to invest. So where the majority bank sector had to get over that hump, I think the tech sector is going to have to do some of that research and follow the lead of some of those larger banks who have invested in companies like M&F Bank and Citizens Trust Bank and Industrial Bank and Liberty Bank and those other black bank players across the country.
Awesome. Well, I really appreciate you entertaining that question or that.
Sure.
Providing your thoughts on that.
Sure.
All right. So it looks like we have about one or two more. If
Okay.
you're still good to go. All right. So again, Ms. Joy Williams chimed in, and she says that you have a large supporting pool of citizens who want to bank with you and want to help make this bank and other black and brown owned banks even more successful. But she asked, how are the changes being decided on? And is this conversation with some of the customers of the community to help keep the bank relevant to basically to the most pressing needs, and what would draw customers away from those other banks?
Is that did she type that in the chat or
in the Q&A section?
Q&A? Let me look at it and read the question.
Yeah, no problem.
Let me find it. Okay, here we go. You have a large supporting pool of citizens.
And again, thank you guys for adding so many questions.
Oh, sure, yeah.
They were definitely really great.
Let me just read it.
If we have time for about one more after this one.
Okay, great question. Great question. To answer your question, Ms. Williams, yes, it is. It is. It is in conversation with customers in the community. We have community advisory boards in each of the cities that we operate in. We also have created a millennial advisory board that's bank wide, and we use those groups, and they are made up of community leaders and customers in all of the markets that we serve, and we use those groups to kind of help us gauge where are we going in the right direction. Um, we also talk to our customers. We survey our customers, and one of the things that I want us to, and I'm going to be pushing for internally, is for us to even do some focus group kind of work to really get some people in a room and kind of talk about here's where we're thinking about going. Kind of give us your thoughts, because we want to do all we can to draw customers to the bank, and also we want to have the resources and the bandwidth to take care of them once we bring them in. The worst thing we can do is lobby to get a bunch of customers in, and we don't know what to do with them when we get them over here. So, we will do all of that work in concert, but we do on a regular basis ask the community, our customers, and our advisors in our markets, what's the most pressing thing that needs to happen from a bank product perspective, and also what's happening in the community. And so we feel like we do that, and we'll do it even more in earnest in the future. But Ms. Williams, thank you for that question. It's a great question.
Great, great. All right, so we do not have any more questions, but
Okay.
but Travis, if you want to just leave if you had to leave us with any parting words or any final thoughts that you may have in regards to the color of money, and like I said, in terms of that may directly tie with M&F Bank or not.
Sure. I'll just say that people ask about the relevance and the viability of Black-owned banks. I think we are tremendously relevant. I think there are resources and things that you'll get from us that you're not going to get from other organizations. I'll give you a prime example. Many of you have heard about Paycheck, the Paycheck Protection Program, and I can tell you right now that we showed up very well for our customers, and later in the program for our prospects, because we got loans done. We couldn't do every loan for everybody, but we provided a tremendous amount of coaching, amount of information to borrowers across the state of North Carolina. We lent, from a paycheck protection perspective, we lent money in 81 different cities in North Carolina. Now we're a small $380 million bank, and we did that. We didn't add not one additional piece of staff. We did it all with the people that we have that work at the bank now, and we met those customers right where they were. And many of them, where they were was, I can't get my big bank to call me back. What should I do? And so we're giving them counsel. We're telling them how to go back and approach their bank, or we're telling them that we can take care of it for you. And in many cases, that's what we did. When the other banks, because of their capacity, whatever it was, I don't want to bash them, but whatever it was that they couldn't get back to their customer, we got them done in a lot of cases. And so we're very happy about that. We're relevant, we're viable, and we're here to stay, and we're going to take great care of whoever puts their trust in us to do business with us.